Hey guys, welcome. Today we are going to talk about a very brand new topic about aquifers and watersheds. Now, you might be wondering, what is an aquifer? And when I first read about it, I was also like, what is it? Like, why is it a big deal? Um, Even though it does sound like a complicated word, I assure you it's actually nothing big. You probably already knew what this was, but just never knew the term for it. Now, when the rain collects and falls to the ground, of course, it's going to go underground, right? It's going to seep into the soil. So as it travels slowly to the ground into those small little crevices, or the spaces between sand or gravel, those spaces are actually known as aquifers. They are actually the small areas underground, which fill with water and collects water, and such water can also be known as the groundwater. There are actually different types of aquifers. When water is found in cracks or pores that are found in the rock, we kind of call it a bedrock aquifer. And when it is found in spaces between finer substances like sand or gravel, we call it as a unconsolidated aquifer. As you can see here in this picture, we can see that as the rain falls down, it actually does get absorbed, right? As you can see, there's a groundwater flow here, which means that it gets absorbed into the ground, into the soil, into the sand, or the spaces between the rocks or gravel. And that becomes groundwater, and the storage spaces themselves are called aquifers. Now, you might be wondering what happens to these water surfaces, right? I mean, what happens once the water is collected? Well, they actually eventually actually run into lakes or rivers or streams or even oceans sometimes. But the ones that are collected on the surface are called surface water as compared to those that are collected underground, which are known as groundwater. Now, you might be wondering what a watershed is. We see something called a watershed here. To be honest, a watershed is simply an area of land that catches rain or snow and where water flows downward. It can be into a river or a lake or even an aquifer. Everywhere that you live, your house, the playground that you go to, are all part of a watershed. No matter where you go, you must be stepping on a watershed. If it gets rain, if the ground underneath your feet hits the rain or the snow, it is going to be a watershed because it is an area that catches that water, and eventually leads it to a stream or a river. Think about your local creek, or a river or stream. I don't know if you guys have been, but there are so many creeks near Hope Mills or near the Skibo Road. These are all creeks. Now, where do you think those water comes from? Um, these are actually all water that comes eventually either from groundwater or from the surface water, from the aquifers or from the watersheds, and eventually feeds into those creeks or rivers or streams and helps the fishes that live in them to survive. I believe this is a more detailed picture of what you think this should look like. Now, as you can see, there is water coming out, right, from the clouds, or water hits the ground. And when it hits the ground, of course, it can be a watershed, but if it seeps into the soil, it becomes groundwater. If it's collected on the surface, again, it's surface water. And as you can see, when it seeps into those spaces between rocks or sand or gravel, it becomes an aquifer. And then eventually the water is stored here and it eventually pours out into streams or lakes or rivers. And when the water is stored underground in cracks or pores, they're once again known as groundwater. If you guys remember, that excuse me. So if they're found near sand or gravel, they are called as unconsolidated aquifers. And if they're found near rocks like these, they are known as bedrock aquifers. All right, now let's move on and look at our guided practice for today. Now, as you can see, we are looking at what aquifer, watershed, groundwater, and what surface water means. Now, aquifer, as we know, are the places where water gets stored underground, right? And how is it formed? It is formed when water seeps into the ground and gets between sand or gravel, or between pores and cracks in the rock layers. What's a watershed? Well, any surface that hits the rainwater or the snow can be known as a watershed. How is it formed? It is simply a piece of land, right, wherever water can hit when it falls down from the clouds. So it is formed whenever rainwater or snow can hit the surface. What's a groundwater then? Well, the groundwater are those stores of water that are found beneath this beneath the ground, beneath the soil or the gravel, any sources of water that is found deep within the earth's surface is known as the groundwater. How is it formed? It is formed when let's say water seeps underground and gets stored there for a longer period of time. And in that case, what would a surface water be? A surface water is actually when the surface of the earth actually collects the water and it stays there and eventually flows into rivers or creeks or lakes. Those are known as surface water. How is it formed? Again, when the rain or snow gets collected onto the surface of the earth and gets stored on the surface of the earth, eventually making way to their end destinations. That's how surface water is formed. Now, there are also some other questions here that I want you guys to use the text from above to complete. Now, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me and I will help you guys with those. But I want you guys to use the text above to complete these. Alright, guys, have a good day and I will see you later. Bye.